In a world where digital connections often replace human interaction, how can an ancient parable teach us about genuine kindness? As we navigate a landscape dominated by screens and superficial exchanges, it seems the very fabric of our interpersonal bonds is shifting. Yet amidst this modern conundrum, a story told by Jesus Christ over 2 millennia ago offers a beacon of timeless wisdom. The parable of the Good Samaritan isn't just a scriptural footnote. It's a call to awaken our hearts to the essence of human compassion, something that no technological advance can render obsolete. What if I told you that one of the most revolutionary acts of kindness in history took place on a dusty road over 2,000 years ago? This simple yet profound encounter didn't merely redefine the boundaries of who qualifies as our neighbor, it shattered them entirely. And while empires have risen and fallen since then, the echoes of this parable continue to challenge and inspire us, beckoning us towards a radical reimagining of love and service. Stay with us as we journey back to uncover what this age-old tale has to say to a society that so desperately needs to rediscover the power of being a Good Samaritan. Imagine a man left by the side of the road, his belongings taken, his body bruised and bloodied. This is the scene we're presented with in the Gospel of Luke, an image that transcends time and culture. Now picture walking by this person without a second glance, your eyes glued to your smartphone screen, notifications drawing your attention away from the suffering before you. Today, we are often that passerby, absorbed in our digital lives, missing the chance to extend compassion to those in need. In Jesus' narrative, the unlikely hero is a Samaritan, a figure who would have been despised and distrusted by the very audience Jesus was speaking to. This Samaritan, however, moves beyond societal prejudices and sees only a fellow human in need. The act of helping isn't just a momentary deed, it's a disruption of the status quo, an example of love in action that calls into question our own biases and boundaries. In our contemporary lives, we too encounter invisible lines that divide us, be it race, religion, or social standing. Yet the Good Samaritan challenges us to recognize the humanity shared across these divides. He doesn't allow the norms of his time to dictate his actions. Instead, he responds with a kindness that is raw and powerful, demonstrating that the essence of being a neighbor lies not in sameness, but in the willingness to help those who are different from us. The story beckons us to reflect on our own lives and ask ourselves, when have we crossed the road to help someone, not because they belong to our group, to our tribe, but simply because they are human? As we wrestle with this challenge, we realize that the parable isn't merely about the act of helping, but about dismantling the barriers that prevent us from seeing the injured traveler on our path. It calls us to a higher standard of love and humanity, one that holds the power to transform not just individual lives, but the very society we live in. To emulate the Good Samaritan is to practice a radical form of kindness, one that cuts through the noise of our daily existence and reaches out to touch the soul of another. This is the profound lesson embedded in the dust-covered roads of ancient times, and it is just as revolutionary today. Let us open our hearts to the spirit of the Samaritan, allowing ourselves to be moved with pity and propelled into action. For in doing so, we do more than help another. We become a living testament to the unbreakable bond of our shared humanity. As we consider the radical empathy of the Good Samaritan, we must ask ourselves, what drove him to act with such profound compassion? His actions speak to an understanding that every person holds intrinsic value, a truth deeply rooted in the fabric of Christian doctrine, that we are all created in the image of God. The Samaritan's choice to help wasn't predicated on shared ethnicity or mutual benefit, but on recognizing the inherent dignity of another human being, however different they might be. In our own time, this recognition often fades into the background, drowned out by the cacophony of societal labels and expectations. Yet, here lies the challenge and the invitation for us, to see beyond the surface, to acknowledge the worth of individuals whom society might otherwise overlook. Our modern-day Good Samaritan, let's say his name is Alex, echoes this sentiment in his work bridging communities across divides of suspicion and distrust. In a brief interview, Alex shares, "True kindness doesn't look for same colors or common creeds. It sees a need and it simply responds." Alex's experience in community service highlights that this compassion requires action. Kindness is not a passive feeling, but an active engagement in the well-being of others, even when it implicates stepping into uncomfortable spaces. Like the Samaritan who used his own resources, oil, wine, and time, so must we be willing to invest ourselves for the sake of others. It's about making a personal commitment to serve, about acknowledging that to foster a culture of respect and dignity, one must be ready to extend a hand regardless of where the other person comes from or what they believe in. What stands out in Alex's story is not just his willingness to help, but the joy he finds in the connection that follows. This joy is not unique to him, but is shared among those who discover the richness that lies in diversity and the strength that comes from compassionately acknowledging each other's humanity. Let this resonate with us, as we too have the opportunity to manifest this radical empathy in our own lives, breaking down walls and building bridges where divides once existed. Reflecting on our role as neighbors, it begs the question, when have we stood in the shoes of the Good Samaritan? Take a moment to think about the last time you encountered someone with a need you could meet. Perhaps it was someone seeking comfort or a stranger who could use a helping hand. Did you stop and help, or did you walk on by, consumed with your own affairs? This self-inquiry isn't intended to cast judgment, but rather to ignite a spark of consciousness about how we interact with the world around us. The truth is, every day we come across roadsides where opportunities to exercise compassion lay before us. Yet often these opportunities are missed, not out of malice, but perhaps due to distraction, hesitation, or the uncertainty of how to act. In considering these missed connections, imagine what our communities might look like if more individuals chose to adopt the Samaritan's ethos. Think about the collective uplift if each of us acted on just one roadside encounter with intentionality. Through this lens, the parable prompts a powerful examination of our daily choices and challenges us to redefine the boundaries of our neighborly obligations. Now, envision a world where such actions are the norm, where the example of the Good Samaritan isn't an extraordinary tale, but a commonplace reality. This is the transformative potential embedded within the ancient narrative, a potential that is unlocked when we apply it to our lives. As we delve deeper into the heart of this parable, let's carry with us a willingness to be transformed by its message. To not only ask, "Who is my neighbor?" but to live out the answer through our actions, making the conscious choice to be a neighbor to all those we encounter. Take this moment to reflect on that choice and consider how it may shape the interactions you have today, tomorrow, and onwards. Let's carry forward the conversation into our communities and daily lives, transforming our awareness into action. Dive into the cost of kindness, exploring the sacrifice the Samaritan made and relating it to personal sacrifices required when helping others in our own lives. Kindness often comes at a price, be it time, resources, or even stepping outside of our comfort zones. The Good Samaritan didn't merely offer words of comfort, he provided practical help, which involved his time, energy, and money. He poured oil and wine on the wounds, symbols of healing and hope, and paid for the injured man's care. In doing so, he teaches us that true compassion requires action and sacrifice. It challenges us to ask ourselves, what are we willing to give up to show kindness to someone in need? In today's world, acts of kindness might mean donating to a cause we believe in, despite our tight budget, or volunteering our time in community service when we could be relaxing at home. It's about making choices that prioritize the well-being of others, sometimes at our own expense. Imagine if each individual in our society chose to make such sacrifices. Visual aids flash on the screen, showing lines connecting individuals in an intricate web, illustrating how interconnected we are and how each act of kindness can ripple out to affect the community at large. This Samaritan act didn't just impact one person, it set an example for centuries to follow. By choosing compassion over convenience, we forge paths of connection, understanding, and unity. These are the paths that can transform societies, breaking down barriers of indifference and isolation. As viewers watch the animations depict the flowering of these connections, it becomes evident that the collective impact of our choices to be kind can indeed cause widespread change. cultivating a more empathetic and connected world. As we come to the close of our exploration into the timeless tale of the Good Samaritan, it is our hope that you have gleaned more than just knowledge from this ancient narrative. May you be stirred by the compassion displayed on that long-ago road and be moved to action within your own journey. Kindness isn't an abstract concept, but a living, breathing movement of the heart that propels us forward to serve, care for, and uplift those around us. Now, as we part ways, we invite you to carry this message out into your world. Reflect on how you can embody the spirit of the Good Samaritan in your interactions and relationships. Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. Tell us about a time you acted as a neighbor or when someone else's kindness made a difference in your life. Your insights enrich our collective understanding and inspire others to act. Don't forget to subscribe to Divine Light to nourish your spirit with more content that bridges the wisdom of Scripture with the reality of our modern lives. Participate in our online forums or join us in upcoming events to continue this conversation and cultivate a community grounded in love and service. Together, let us seek to revive the spirit of the Good Samaritan in this digital age, remembering that every act of kindness, no matter how small, echoes into eternity. And so as we conclude, let us hold fast to the words that remind us of our calling to love one another. Love your neighbor as yourself. Carry this charge with you as a beacon of hope and transformation, for in doing so, we illuminate the path to a kinder, more connected world. Thank you for journeying with us. Until next time, may your days be filled with grace and purpose.